Sandra, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pledge, would you lead us in prayer?
Our Father, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for this club and its motto of service above self. And help us demonstrate that in our lives. Thank you for the many blessings that we have all had over the years. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Oh, home on the range.
Home on the range. Nelson.
Okay, this song has meaning today, and I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. But anyway, Home on the Range was the first song I ever sang in Rotary 150 years ago. But here we go. Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam and the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Good job.
Before we get into our normal club business, we have a guest here, Josh Bryant, who's come to talk with us for just a minute about Macy's Miracle. I mentioned it last week, but Josh, if you want to come up or just stand up, however you want to do it, whatever you prefer. You're welcome to come up front if you want to. Our microphone doesn't work. Pretty hot right here.
My name is Josh Bryant. I am the lucky father of a 5-year-old girl named Macy Bryant. I guess she was 5 months old, she was diagnosed with Angelman syndrome. It's a rare neurological disorder. It affects speech, gait, pretty much all aspects of her life. She has a very high chance of seizures. That's another thing that Angelman is. I'm just going to make a real quick plug. I won't take a long time because I'm going to find this pretty interesting. I am actually a member of the other civic organization in town. Apparently it's okay. But Kiwanis actually puts on the Macy's Stroll and Roll that we do every year. This year it's April 21st, 10 a.m. I hope that either you can come, or if you have a business, if you have interest in donating to it, we would love to have you be a part of it. There's already several businesses that are present that are involved. Kent's, Edward Jones. Anyway, we've been very lucky. Last year alone, we were able to give over $10,000 to FAST, which is a Foundation for Angelman Syndrome Therapeutics. All the proceeds from the walk go straight to them in hopes of finding a cure. So a cure is very close, and I think Barrett may have touched base on that last week. But we're very close to finding a cure, and dollars make the world go round. So anyway, I appreciate you letting me talk. Is there anything else I need to add to that?
So he has some literature over here if you're interested in learning more about it. It's over here on the table. Macy's a lovely, lovely young lady, and they really are close to a cure. So that's why we wanted to give them an opportunity to come talk. Thank you, Josh. Kathy Drew, I thought I saw Kathy earlier. Is she here? Maybe not.
She had to slip out.
Well, she has a birthday this week, so make sure you tell her happy birthday to see her again. Didn't see any other club anniversaries or anniversaries. Some announcements. March 17th is the Trap Shoot Tournament, and we need to sell tickets. As you know, we are donating, or we're raffling off a Spartan mower. Please sell your tickets. It's important that we sell enough to cover the cost that Spartan has given us in the mower and raise some money. The board thinks we can do that very easily, but we can't do it without you. So continue. Johnny's a model salesperson, I know, so just follow Johnny's example. Give tickets out and tell people they have to pay.
All you have to do is ask them to buy,
Once you get the car on the lift, they have to buy a ticket for that.
You on now?
But it's a big fundraiser for us, and it's been the number one fundraiser, I think, or was the number one new fundraiser in the district 2 years ago. So March 26th, this is something that sort of developed over the last few weeks. I mentioned it last week. The city of Batesville has given us an opportunity to help them put trees around the community center. You may remember that Rotary International challenged us to plant a tree for every member of the club, and so the city of Batesville has given us a prize to do that at, and they actually want to do it, the planning, in conjunction with an Arbor Day celebration at the end of the month. So we're talking with them right now. If you're on the board, I want to meet with you after the meeting just to quickly vote on that. We definitely have the money to do it, it looks like, after talking with Dwight last week. So that's something that we'll have an opportunity to participate in. Our Rotaractors from Lyon College can help us plant, and there'll be some agricultural students from Batesville that'll help as well, I think. So that's something that's exciting that's coming up. The May 19 District Bike Ride is on the calendar. We met with Nancy last week. We had a good meeting, and so we're moving forward with that. We'll have a district event in Batesville on May 19th. Community awards, we met and had scholarships, by the way, last week. Those have been announced. Community awards, when we open the nominations for those, Amanda?
As soon as I get the trap shoot done.
Okay, so right after the trap shoot, we'll start talking about our community awards. RILA Transportation Volunteers. Rotary Youth Leadership Academy, we need at least one person to transport 2 students, a Batesville student and a Midland student, on Thursday, this Thursday, to the RILA event. One of the details of RILA and requirements is that a Rotarian has to transport you and take you back if you attend. So we are sponsoring students who are going, but they need transportation. So if you have some time, it's about 2:45 on Thursday.
Right, 2:45. You pick them up at the counselor's office at school. They'll have them ready for you.
Drive them to Little Rock. So if you have some time, it's something we need help with this week.
Any volunteers?
Yeah, we can pass it around right now. Anybody available on Thursday, 2:45, trip to Little Rock? Stop and have dinner afterwards.
On you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Sergeant at Arms report.
Nothing today.
Okay. Amanda, secretary.
Okay. Scholarship winners were chosen last week, and they have been notified, and I'm waiting on them to send me all their pictures so I can do a press release, but they are real fast. From Batesville, Mallory McClure, Cave City, Braden Snow, Newark was Chase Shonk, Midland, Morgan Combs, and Southside is Madison Hewitt. We had our first RLI session this weekend at Jonesboro. Dennis and Aaron attended, and I was one of the teachers. I think it went really well. Aaron, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. Got to meet people from all across the district and learn more about the Rotary Club.
Dennis, what?
I enjoyed it. Encourage other people to take advantage of it.
Yeah, we'll have 2 more sessions, and we'll start another session probably in about 3 months. Barrett talked about the mower raffle. I have lots and lots and lots of tickets. If you need more to sell, please come see me. The trap shoot is 2 weeks from this past weekend. If you know anybody that would like to do a team, we only have 4 teams registered right now, guys. That's not good. We need at least 10 for this to be successful. So if you know of anybody that wants to do a team or can sponsor a team, I can find shooters all day long. I just need somebody to pay for these kids to shoot, if nothing else. So please consider doing that. Steve,
How much is it to sponsor a team?
a team is $350. Steve Massey sent me an email this morning. He's had some dental work done, and so he's requested a leave of absence for the next couple of months. So if y'all are missing him, he'll be back. He's just gonna be out for a little bit. So that's all I have.
What about, do we have guests?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Josh, he already spoke. He's my guest here today.
I do have a couple of students.
Yeah.
If y'all don't care to stay and introduce yourself.
I'm Beth, and I'm a senior at Batesville High School.
I'm Yonda Maya, and I'm a senior at Batesville High School.
Welcome. We have a guest with you today as well.
I have with me Dr. Melissa Taverner, our new provost at Lyon College. I would encourage you on your way out today to stop and speak to her and tell her why you like Rotary.
Thanks. Welcome.
Well,
there,
I have
okay?
I have two guests.
Not really a Rotarian, but, or not really
My
a guest,
caregiver's here today,
but
so.
she's not a guest.
Okay. Dwight's, I didn't see Dwight, but I know the invoices have gone out. Please make sure you pay those if you haven't already. I don't see Deanna, but remember Help and Hope. We've committed to volunteer at Help and Hope, and this Wednesday is our next Wednesday, so at 5:30. Please plan to be there if you can. Hopefully our Rotaractors will come as well, but we are meeting at Help and Hope this Wednesday at 5:30. I saw Ryan, or did I? Is Ryan in here?
He had to leave.
He had to leave. Well, never mind. I won't put him on the spot. Good job, Cassandra, as a door greeter. Let's give her a round of applause. Wayne, you are up next week. Any other announcements for good of the club or community? If not, Nelson, do you want to introduce yourself?
I will. If I can remember, Barry.
Look over your collar.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure to be here today. I had to prompt Amanda a little bit to get this program slot. But I thought, I'm such a believer in history that I thought that it was good with the club to kind of know what has gone on before you. And I'm the one that has to tell you because I'm actually, this fall will be my 55th or 56th year as a Rotarian. Now, I took a leave of absence for a period of time around the late 80s and early 90s because I had various things going on that I had to tend to. And then I got back in the club because I realized I missed it so much. I miss being these meetings. When I don't go, it's kind of like church. I've told my wife that going to church is kind of a punctuation in my week. Well, Rotary is the same way. I miss it when I don't go to Rotary. So anyway, the date that I had in mind was November of 1963. But this picture was made in the fall of '62. So, and I'm in the picture, so it must have been November of '62. But anyway, I just want to talk a little bit about the Rotary Club and where it's been. And, it has come, I guess, for various reasons, it's come a long way, baby. This man right here, and I will use the gavel as a pointer. This man right here, Mr. Billy Sensabaugh, W.A. Sensabaugh. He was the office manager at Barnett Brothers for years, and he was also a very loyal Rotarian. When I started to work at Barnett Brothers, he right quick said, "Now Nelson, your father and your brother are both Kiwanians, so I want you to be a Rotarian." And so I have been a Rotarian ever since. And he was a wonderful guy. The reason we sang Home on the Range today is because he was the song leader, and he loved for us to sing Home on the Range. And he was a fine man who was very active in Rotary. You know, I'm ashamed to say that I don't really remember as much about who the presidents were when they were president. I was president in '76, '77. Jerry, I looked on your badge there, and I forgot you were president when.
Get your glasses out, Jerry.
Back there.
Now, how many of the rest of you have been president? Okay, good. We've got a number of presidents here that are still in the club. But anyway, when we started, when I started in Rotary, we were meeting at the Marvin Hotel. How many of you remember where the Marvin Hotel was? Down on the corner of Main and State Street. It's a vacant lot now, but on the corner of Main and State, just about on the other side of the street and about a block up from where the guard office is. And it was an old hotel that was owned by Mr. and Mrs. Polk. Mr. and Mrs. John Polk, everybody knew them as Mr. John and Miss Johnny. She ran the dining room, and I think, pretty much ran the whole affair. And Mr. John oversaw everything also. But they were a wonderful couple, and that's where the Rotary Club met, and where a lot of people ate Sunday lunch, because they had really good food at the Marvin Hotel. So that's the first place I remember meeting in, Marvin Hotel. We moved across the street when the Marvin, and I think it must have been when Miss Johnny decided that she didn't want to continue with the dining room, that we moved across the street to where Kelly's restaurant was. Kelly's restaurant was across the street in the same block as the Marvin Hotel, but a little bit further east up the street. And it was run by Mr. Jeff Kelly, and he actually started the restaurant there, and it had a downstairs restaurant that served sandwiches and plate lunches and all that kind of thing, and then upstairs they had what they called the Shamrock Room, and that's where the Rotary Club met. And it was pretty crowded, as I recall. The club was bigger then than it is now, but it was a good group that were meeting in the Shamrock Room of Kelly's restaurant. One of the things I remember about that is, and I don't know how it would go with the fire regulations today, but it was a long, narrow room, longer than this and narrower than this. And there was only one way in and out, and that was a stairway that went down into the restaurant. I never did think about it at the time, but had there been a bad fire or something in the kitchen, the stairway would have pretty much been blocked, because right under the stairway downstairs was part of the kitchen. So they didn't think about fire regulations much in those days, I guess, and we never had a fire, so we were fortunate. And then we moved with Kelly's to the American Motel. The American Motel was where McDonald's is now on St. Louis Street. And the Vincents built a wonderful modern hotel there called the American Inn, and that's where the restaurant moved to. And it was there for a number of years, and it was very nice. They had a big meeting room, lots of groups met in, but the Rotary Club met there, and it was a good place for us to meet. And then I get a little hazy in this, so some of you may have to help me. I think we moved from there to the Batesville Country Club. And we met at the Batesville Country Club then for a period of time, and then moved from the country club, to Josie's restaurant, which was in the old building that burned, and not in the new Josie's as it is now. And they were closed on Monday, so they could have the Rotary Club on Monday, because they didn't have other patrons in the restaurant at that time. And then we moved from there to here to Kelly Watts. And I think that's...
We went to Lyon College first.
Yes, and I've got that down there. I overlooked it. Lyon College. We went to Lyon College first. And so I can't even read my own notes. But anyway, we went to Lyon College. We went out there for a period of time, and that was a good place for us to meet. And then I think we went to Josie's, and then here to Kelly Watts. Now, an interesting fact about Kelly's restaurant, Mr. Jeff Kelly had 3 sons. He had at least 2 daughters, I think, but he had 3 sons. And he built a restaurant for each one of those boys. And Sammy, the oldest son, had the restaurant in Ball Knob, Kelly's in Ball Knob. And Jimmy, the second son, who was my age, had the restaurant in Wynn. And then Stanley had the restaurant in Newport. And so he made sure that his sons all had a restaurant. And then Wayne Wild went in with Mr. Kelly. He was a nephew of Mr. Kelly's. And that's the reason this is called Kelly Wines. This photograph that I've got, as I say, it must have been in the fall of 1962. But if you notice, now these two are the high school representatives. She was president of the student body at Batesville High School, Lucy Jeffrey Yeager. He was the piano player for the club. Now at that time, the club had a regular someone to play the piano every Monday when they met. And Ned or somebody else would play lively music as we arrived to get everybody in the spirit of the Rotary meeting. Ned's father, Edgar Metcalf, is on the far end of that first row. And so Ned played, but I think he only played that 1 year. I think we had a different pianist each year. Lucy was the student body president. This is me. You'll notice Ned and me and Peppy and Jimmy Sherrill and Ennis.
Gary.
Not Gary, his father. Odell and Ennis are the only ones that don't have on ties. But at that time, pretty much everybody wore a tie. I think the Peppy and me and Jimmy Sherrill probably thought we were still in college or something because we were not far out. And so we didn't have to dress up with a tie. But pretty much everybody wore ties at that time. So that's a change that has really noticed. This is Doyle Rogers right here. Let's see, you all remember Doyle being in the club. This is Mr. Ben Jernigan. He was the cashier, long-time cashier at First National Bank. A lot of you remember Gigi Rutherford. This is his father, Mr. Jim Rutherford. This was a Methodist minister. Let's see if I can point out anybody else that you might know. Ben Owens was the administrator for North Arkansas Clinic, and then later became administrator, I think, when the North Arkansas Clinic moved out to the new location. But then he took a job at St. Bernard's in Jonesboro and was over there. Lit Craig is in the picture. He was a regular member. Of this group, and this is not something I'm particularly proud of, but of this group, there are only about 5 or 6 of us that are still alive. And so most all of those people have gone on. Now I've got another picture if you want to put that up there. I'll talk about that for a minute. Now this is a more recent picture taken out in front of Brown Chapel at Lyon College. And I graduated to a tie by that time. You all know Sheila Mace. She's at White River Medical Center and still is. This is another of our piano players, Doris Phillips. And Doris Phillips was Dick Bernard's mother-in-law. And she played the piano for us at that time, and she played lively music for us to arrive in the club with. And she also played for the singing, as Ned did, and all of the piano players. Now, I've tried my best to talk your dad into coming back to Rotary. He used to be in Rotary. And I've tried my best to talk Jeff Salasco to coming back to Rotary and playing the piano. He is a good piano player. However, I think there's a piano in the duck blind. We might have to meet in the duck blind.
We can just open the door until you play loud.
Excuse me, there's not a piano in here. But anyway, this I think was taken around 2000. It doesn't have a date on it. Another thing, and I'm going to sit down and try to put names with these. Neither of these photographs have names on them. And that is such a mistake because they are lost to the annals of time, I guess you would say. So I'm going to try to put names to the ones that I know, and then I'm going to sit down with some of the others of you who remember some of these people and let you help me, and let's try to get names for everybody on these photographs. Then I'm going to give both photographs to the museum, and they will have them there as a record of the Rotary Club. And as far as I know, these are the only 2 group photographs of the Rotary Club.
I think there's a third one, Nelson.
Yeah, we have one from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, now where is it? Do you know?
I have one here
Okay,
that I can pull up, but it's not that old.
okay.
Our.
Yeah,
Okay, well, we need that one with these 2, and they all need to go to the museum.
and there's names with that.
Oh, good,
All of
good,
it.
good.
They're all
But
named.
anyway, I don't remember that, but don't
Nelson,
remember that.
it's on our local webpage too.
Is it? Good, good. We might ought to try to put these 2 on the webpage. But But anyway, I just think history is important. It's important to know what's going on before. Now, we've had some district governors. Jimmy Watkins was district governor. Sam Smith, some of you may remember Sam Highsmith, was district governor. Dave Evans was district governor. I guess, or he's the first one I know about. And Dave was a retired Navy officer. And he was by the books. I mean, what he said went as far as the Rotary, I'm sure the Navy, but as far as the Rotary Club went. One thing, he said, always wear your name badge on the right-hand side, because then when you shake hands with someone, they can look right straight up your arm and see what your name is. Makes sense. And then other things, Sam Highsmith that I mentioned, who was district governor, he was a real stickler for the way that we said the Pledge of Allegiance. And some of you may remember that Sam insisted that when they put one nation under God, when they put under God in the Pledge of Allegiance, which was, I guess, what, 30 years ago or something, I don't know. But anyway, he insisted that there not be a pause after one nation. It was one nation under God. And he would correct us every time we would say the Pledge of Allegiance, until finally we pretty much learned that that was the way we were supposed to do it. But anyway, those are just some funny little stories that come from Rotary. The wheel. Now this modern thing right here is just, it's very fancy and very nice. We don't use it very much anymore. We used to have a homemade wheel that was made out of plywood, with the numbers painted all around the edge, and a plywood arrow in the middle of it that you'd spin. And it went, I think, from a penny to $1. And there were all different amounts around the wheel. I always wanted to glue a penny to the arrow, because the bottom of the wheel was $1. And if if I had ever glued the penny to the arrow, it would have always stopped on $1. Now, somebody would have figured that out pretty quickly, I imagine, but and the money went, of course, to the Rotary Foundation. Then we did this, where you could kind of opt out by trying various other things, but the other one was more fun. We did have a minister. I'm sorry Ron has not had to leave, because we had a minister who quit the club because he said it was gambling. Well, of course it was not, because you couldn't win. I mean, but anyway, he said it was gambling, and he quit the club because of that. Women in the club. Now that was a big deal at the time that it happened, and I think Rotary International fought long and hard to decide to let women into the club. And I will say that I've been here long enough to know that you women have made a wonderful difference in the club, because you're very energetic and take part in everything, and it's a good thing to have women in the club, I think. But there were some members that were upset about that, and I never did know whether it was them or their wives that didn't like that idea, but we had 2 or 3 members who quit over that, taking women into the club. And so I don't know who the objection was. And then during that time, before women were in the club, the wives, men's wives, were called Rotary Aunts. Well, I don't know how the other wives felt about that, but Sandy Barney thought that was the dumbest thing in the world. She did not like being called a Rotary Aunt. But anyway, we'd had Rotary Aunts at that time. We had various projects. When I came into the club, we sold fruitcakes. Well, everybody just moaned and groaned. We sold them at Christmas time. It was terrible. They were about the size of a brick. Lots of people kidded that they were about like a brick. Although they were not bad. If you like fruitcake, they had a lot of nuts and a lot of fruit in them. But they were about the size of a brick. And they sold, I don't remember. Do any of you all remember what they sold?
They were $1.
$1. I was thinking they were very cheap.
They were $1.
And so we would sell these fruitcakes, and that was our only project. And the club was a whole lot poorer then than we are now. But But anyway, that was the main project. Then we decided that some of the younger people came in and we decided to do Chicken Day. Well, that was a good idea, and we jumped into that with a great deal of enthusiasm, and it was to be at the First United Methodist Church. We were going to cook, we were going to fry the chicken ourselves in the church kitchen, and then we were going to make the baked beans and the slaw, and they would have a piece of light bread and 2 lemon cookies, and pick up their chicken and carry it home. We served at noon and at night. And that was a very good project for a number of years, until the chicken and the other stuff got to be too expensive for us to be able to make any money on it. And by that time, we really had come to depend on having a larger budget.
Hey, Nelson.
Yeah.
May I share a really good story about making coleslaw?
Yes, yes.
But you know, we were making it at the church, and then all of a sudden, the owner of Town and Country Supermarkets had the supermarket out where Hastings was.
Yeah.
And he had a big coleslaw maker. So he said, you'll come out on Sunday and make your coleslaw. So, man, that was great. We had people lined up, you know, and they were cutting the cabbage, and Polly Livingston and I were running the coleslaw machine. And she was putting the coleslaw in, it was grinding up, and I was turning the big bowl to keep it even. Well, by the time we got through making the coleslaw, I had blisters on both hands. And the fellow that ran the kitchen there at the end came up and said, how'd this go? I said, well, I got blisters on my hand. And he flipped a switch and it turned the
Polly. You know, Polly was not, and I hope somebody here remembers who's the first woman was in the club.
Polly.
No, she wasn't Polly. She was the first woman president.
Yeah, she always said she does.
She was the first woman president. I don't remember.
The lady was the director of the chamber. Just a few months. Director of the chamber.
Oh, okay.
Just a few months, don't
Okay.
remember her name.
I'm sorry. Not important. But anyway, so Polly was the first woman president, and if you notice, she is in the picture right here. Polly was always a good-looking woman, and that's her in the picture right there. This is Lloyd Conyers, who was the Methodist minister at that time. He's not the one that got out of the club because of the gambling. But anyway, then I want to, okay, we're just about out of time. We've always done the canoe race, which is very important and is still an important project. And I want to just close by telling you that one of the highlights really of my life and of my time in Rotary was serving as the team leader of the group study exchange team to Denmark. And this was in 1982. You had to apply, and my dad and my brothers at that time gave me permission to apply for it because you had to be gone for 6 weeks, and which is hard for people to get away for that period of time. But they gave me permission to apply for this, and I did, and was chosen as the group study exchange leader. That was one of the best trips that I have ever been on. We stayed in the homes of Rotarians in Denmark. We went into Copenhagen, then we went on out into the west part of Denmark and met with clubs large and small, and got to meet lots of Rotarians. And then we even got acquainted with a group study exchange team from England who were there. They were from Manchester, England. And so that is a wonderful program. That group study exchange team program is an outstanding program. That's it. I'm just going to tell you that I've enjoyed my time in Rotary. I love being here on Mondays. I enjoy singing and leading the singing. Josh Kemp, still every time he sees me, he starts singing Rotary. So. But anyway, we really have a number of members that ought to be back in the club because they could be. And so anyway, I'll encourage you to invite people to come and be a part of the club. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nelson. Now, are you playing in the Joker draw right now?
I am.
Okay, someone else needs to pick our winning ticket.
Yeah, I think you're about
And Nelson, it'll be Elvis and Me, is the book that'll be donated in your honor.
Oh, good. Elvis and me.
Okay, 2318-503.
That's me.
I gave you the wrong one.
On like 1 and 12 now, right?
Getting down there here.
I think we got our things mixed up here.
This may be the day.
Why did somebody look under there?
Is it fair to all concerned?
I didn't see
Brenda, look at those cards, and are they all alike? I think she's adding cards to the deck.
Oh, the A's. Otherwise, that'd been a good card.
How close was it? Come on, show me.
I don't know. Where's it at?
It's on the end.
It's on the very end.
It's on the very end.
No, don't shuffle that.
Maybe next time.
It gets down to one card. Everybody will be here.
Right there, you could have seen that.
I got it on video.
Don't forget to sell tickets for the lawnmower.
I'll look for you.
No other announcements. We'll end with the four-way test as we always do. Number 1,
Is it the truth?
number 2,
Is it fair to all concerned?
number 3,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
and number 4.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Have a great week.